that you have the ability to make an educated decision. As I shared with all the candidates in the back, tonight, don't be a Republican, don't be a Democrat, don't be an independent. Just be a human being and allow people to see your humanity. If people see your humanity, they will vote for your political position. But if all they hear is your political position, they will never see your humanity. And we're in a day and time, the worst thing that has happened to this nation is that people have voted party lines and they have forgot to vote their own value system. Amen? So I want to share that with you so that you understand why we're here tonight. We're also happy to have Michael Clancy. He's a representative from the Democratic Party. I said that to make him mad. That's okay. He's representing the chairperson for the Monmouth, the Red Bank area Republican Party. I just want to acknowledge him, as well as Ed Zipowich, who is the chairperson for the Democratic Party. But tonight they're just Mr. Clancy and Mr. Zipowich. Amen. All right, listen. We have one more of our. What number are we at anyway? We're at number 4. All right. This is Miss Linda, Councilwoman Linda. She's going to come and share that which is on her heart.
Thank you. And Reverend, since I'm not that interesting, is it okay if I use a couple minutes of my time to talk about Dana?
No, why don't you, because they won't know the reference point, okay? All right, why don't you just share about yourself?
Very good then, thank
okay.
you. So if you want to know about me and my values, you really have to know about my family. So my family is from northwestern Pennsylvania. Both grandfathers were coal miners. One grandfather was a Democrat, the other was a Republican, and we laugh about that. I think that probably explains a lot about my own politics. Grandpa Schwabenbauer was head of his union local. Grandpa Schmader was not, but they had the same industry. They were both in the World Wars. Grandpa Schwabenbauer, World War I, Grandpa Schmader, World War II. That's how they served. When my father got out of high school, and it was a tiny, tiny town in Pennsylvania, still is, he went to the Army for 3 years, and that's how he served. And when he got out, he put himself through college while being married and working full-time and taking a full course load, and he graduated. My sister was, I think, 1 or 2. I wasn't yet born. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you work full-time and have a family and support them, but he did it. He did. And then when it was time for me to go to school, we were living in New Jersey at that time. I was born in Hackensack. They moved away from Pennsylvania because there's no jobs there. So my father came for work, and he came to New Jersey, and that's how we ended up here. And it was time for me to go to school, and I applied to a lot of schools. And I ended up at the University of Pittsburgh, and I put myself through. With scholarships and summer jobs and working while I was at school, and I graduated in 4 years with no debt. I'm very proud of that. Then I got myself a job, worked for a few years, and then I went to grad school, and I put myself through again, and this time I had debt. I had a lot of debt, like a lot of kids do. And I went up to Boston, and I worked in Boston by myself, where I didn't know a soul for 10 years. But I learned the financial industry. And after 10 years, one of my clients said, I have a company down in New Jersey, and it's in this little town called Red Bank, and I'm wondering if you'd be interested in going down there to work. So all my friends in Massachusetts, because remember, it's Massachusetts, and they're saying, oh my God, you're going to New Jersey, anywhere but New Jersey, don't go to New Jersey, oh my God, no. So I came down for a weekend, and I was sold, and I came down right away, and I've been down here for about 12 years ever since. So now I'm working at Prudential, where I lead a team of about 100 people doing more financial work, and that's kind of been my career. So that's me in a nutshell. My values of family. I have 51 first cousins. Most of them still live up in northwestern Pennsylvania, and it's still a beautiful town, and I know this because every year we have a family reunion over Labor Day weekend, like clockwork. It's actually on the Sunday so that you can travel before and after. But they all come, and now most of them have kids of their own. And it's funny because there's hundreds of people now. It's at Uncle Jimmy's farm, and all the little kids are running around. I don't know whose is whose, but it's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing. So we're all about the family. We stay close. I was not blessed with children of my own. I was blessed, however, with a niece and 2 nephews. My niece is my goddaughter. She is 11. She's the apple of my eye. She's going to change the world, I'm sure of it. So we stay close. They're in Pennsylvania. They're out in the Amish country. I actually ended up running for council because When I moved to Red Bank, I started paying attention to what was going on in town. And I liked the way that the council was run. I liked that it was public forum and you could go and you could listen. And I liked that the results were published and you could follow along. But I didn't understand some of the financial decisions they were making. And I thought to myself, maybe I can help. Maybe this is my chance to serve. I think there's a point in everyone's life where you see an opportunity where you can jump in and make a difference. And that's kind of what I saw, because what I saw on council were good people, but I didn't see anybody who had the financial background or training that I thought I could bring. And so that's why I ran. And I got on, and it's been interesting. I have crossed party lines many a time. I have taken a lot of grief for that too. But I've made decisions that have always been, I thought, in the best interest of Red Bank. And I'm asking for an opportunity to do that again. So that, I think, is all I have about myself. That is my background. That is my heart, as Reverend asked me to share. And that is all. Thank you.
All right, our final, our final council person here tonight is Councilman Ed Zipwich. We're going to invite him to come and share with us.
Thank you, Pastor Porter. Thank you, Deacon Garrison. And let me offer you congratulations on your 125th Jubilee. Many of us were busy on Sunday, so we sent the mayor in. And we were glad that the entire council had some representation here in the form of our mayor, who was no stranger to Pilgrim. For me, I know almost everybody in this room on a first-name basis, but it's an honor to live and serve in this town. As a little kid, I spent every summer here in Red Bank on my summer vacation, and my folks were, I always refer to them as boat people. My dad always had some leaky sailboat. He would pack us on. It was kind of like a camping trip, and we would sail over from Staten Island and spend the first couple of nights in Sandy Hook, and then the big adventure was to come up the river at slack tide. We would tie up at the Molly Pitcher, and you were allowed to use the pool. You were allowed to use the snack bar that we used to have on the pool deck back there in the 1960s. Excuse me. So when I met JP and moved to Red Bank 21 years ago, it was sort of like coming home. And I always thought, how fortunate am I to live in the town that I had all of these happy childhood memories with. I am one of 4 children. I have an older brother and an older sister. I'm wearing pink tonight because she was battling breast cancer right now. And it is a sort of a family responsibility, as Pastor Porter and my younger sister Jean are good friends that have worked together over the years. Jean is running back and forth, between New Jersey and where my sister is down in Maryland to help care for her, which leaves me with the responsibility of taking care of my 90-year-old mother. And I sent JP out yesterday while we were busy with Halloween festivities here in town to take care of my mom. My mom still lives in the house I grew up in. She is 90 years old. She was a pharmacist. She graduated from the School of Pharmacy at St. John's University in 1949, one of 6 women, and only one of 3 who got licensed to practice. And Mom worked part-time as the local druggist, and put us all through school and high school. And my dad had a business across the street from where my mom practiced pharmacy as the local printer. So I grew up in the printing trade. And when I graduated from high school, I went off to college in upstate New York, really not far from where Linda grew up, on the shores of Lake Ontario, where it is really, really cold and made me not miss winter at all. But it's one of the things I love about living here on the Jersey Shore, especially now that summer is a little longer, for those of you who enjoy local summer like I do. You get to run out to the beach and not have to pay a fee. So I moved to Red Bank 21 years ago, and one of the things that got me involved, and I keep thinking about Pastor Porter's question, but why do you want to serve? I've served because I really, honestly, and truly believe that my voice mattered. I spent an awful lot of time standing outside of the post office with a group from the UUCMC at the Unitarian Church, and my good friend Boris Kaufman here in town, protesting the Iraq War back in the early 2000s. In the meantime, I was writing scathing letters to the editor against the overdevelopment of our town that I felt that our former mayor, Ed McKenna, was committing. And one of the things that Ed and I argued toe-to-toe on was the importance of historic fabric in this community. So I became a member of the Historic Preservation Commission, where Ed appointed me to it because he finally understood where I was coming from and how important it is to see all of our buildings adaptively reused. One of the most exciting things that's coming down the pike is the Anderson Moving and Storage Building over by the railroad tracks that will be converted into a new Sickles Market and the commercial office space in the building, and the building itself will stay intact. And those are the kinds of things that I worked on while I was on the Historic Preservation Commission, in creating the Washington Street Historic District and fighting for the T. Thomas Fortune House, which will become the T. Thomas Fortune Cultural Center. It's one of 2 national landmarks we have in this town, and most importantly, it is only one of 2 African-American national landmarks in the state of New Jersey. So we look forward to that happening. I know Mr. James is here, and he has been instrumental in helping that become a reality. So I thank you for your commitment. What I bring to the table on the local level is my past professional experience as a facilities manager and operations manager. I worked for 25 years in New York City for international law firms running business operations sides. And you know, JP used to say, I don't pay you enough to do this, when they would call at 3:15 in the morning and say, hey, Mr. Zippert, there was a pipe that broke on the 17th floor. You'd have to think on your feet, although you were laying on your back with the phone to your ear, and you'd say, did anybody shut off the water? So I have been charged with being the liaison to the Public Works Department. And it's not a glamorous job, but it's one that I enjoy. It's something that I know from my professional experiences. Roads, infrastructure, sewer, water. Yes, it's really true that that stuff does all flow downhill. I'm proud of the work that our DPW team does here in town. I have supported them in their efforts to make sure that our roads are paved, that we have clean water, and that our treatment facilities are up to par. And I really would like to continue to serve, to finish the mission that I've started in rebuilding the infrastructure, making sure that the roads are paved, and that, as Michael Ballard mentioned earlier, that our kids have a safe place to go and teams to enjoy and participate in, because I have spent an inordinate amount of time over the course of the last 10 years raising money for our public school kids. Proudest moment this year was when 2 playgrounds were installed at the primary school. Those kids down there haven't had a playground in many years, and I know Tom, we've had kids benefit from that, and those are the kinds of things that really encourage me to serve for another 3 years in town, because the kids are our future. We need to teach them, we need to encourage them to participate, we need to learn, they need to learn how to work together as a team, and they will one day be standing where I'm standing and leading our town further into the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We have two other candidates that are here that are on your ballot, and one is running for the freeholders position in the County of Monmouth, and the other is running for the District 11 Assemblyman position. So we want to hear from Dr. Donlin first, and then we'd like to hear from candidate Assemblyman Mike Welly.
Thank you, Pastor Porter, and thank you for having us all here tonight. It was my great pleasure to be part of the service and celebration yesterday. I'm a physician. I work at Meridian Rehab in Shrewsbury, and one of my patients there who broke her ankle said, "Doctor, I feel like I gotta ask you something. There's this service this weekend. It's actually our anniversary, and I really would like to go, and I don't know if I can." And I talked to the therapist, and they said, "You know, I think she should go. She could definitely go." And the church arranged for the van service to pick her up in her wheelchair and get her here. And then she said, "Doctor, I want you to come with me." And it was an honor to be invited, and it was an honor to participate and to be a part of that service. It was just phenomenal. So, and one of the messages from that service was the need to press on when things are difficult. I've never been involved in politics. I never wanted to run for office before, but after what happened with last year's election, I literally woke up the next day and was disturbed with the division that I was seeing in this country. And knowing that all change begins at the local level, I said, you know, I'm going to run for office. I'm going to look at what we can do here in Monmouth County to make a difference. What are the issues? What are the needs that need to be addressed for all of our residents? And that's why I decided to run. In particular, one of the big concerns here in Monmouth County is Brookdale Community College, which is really the driver of our middle class. 30% of our students go through Brookdale Community College, and for many people, that's their only way for affordable, high-quality education. And with tuition rising, I'm afraid that's getting out of reach for a lot of our students here in Monmouth County. And going through graduate school, going through medical school, I know what it's like to come out of school with a ton of student loans and not being able to afford to buy a house and having that be a barrier. So I want every student to be given the opportunity to get a high-quality, affordable education here in Monmouth County. The other issue that I'm concerned about is the opioid crisis. You know, it's running exponential at this point, and we need to do more to step up at the local level and do something about it. I think the prosecutor's office in Monmouth County has done a really good job from that angle, but we need to look at it for the public health crisis that it is and work on looking at treatment options and prevention because it's really, the rates are skyrocketing. I don't think there's anyone here who hasn't been touched by this epidemic. And often it's surprising, you know, the people who are involved. So it's something that crosses all barriers, all racial, all economic barriers, and it's a big concern to me and my running mate Brian Wilton, who is a prosecutor in Freehold Borough. So that's part of our mission as well in running for Freeholder. I wanted to run because as a doctor,
You're good.
Okay. When I grew up, I wanted to help people. I mean, that was why I went to medical school. And in my work, I help people who have injuries, who have disabilities, and it's a true joy. It's a true joy to see them walk again, to get home again, to function again. In my work, it's about quality of life. It's about improving patients' quality of life so that they can enjoy their life. And to me, that's why I'm running for public office at this time. So it's an expansion of my service. I mean, I serve my patients every day in what I do, but to me, coming to public office is an expansion of that service to the greater community, and I think there's no better time, and it's very much needed at this time, where we can have unity on both parties. As was mentioned before, it's been, the Freeholder Board has been under Republican control for a number of years, and I think it would be nice to have some balance as well as some new voices and a new idea of where Monmouth can move forward. People want to see unity. I think people are sick of the division. They're sick of the hatred, the back and forth. We need to have conversations again. It's as simple as that, and that's why I'm running for office. Thank you again for having me here.
running for the District 11 Assemblyman's position, gender equitable, is Mr. Mike Whalen.
I'm going to take this down. I talk with my hands a lot. So, good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Whalen. The fortunate privilege to be a councilman here in Red Bank. First, I want to thank Pastor Porter. I got to meet you a couple of years ago. We forged a good relationship very early on, so I appreciate the opportunity. It's actually my favorite type of forum is tonight. We're told not to talk about party, not to talk about politics, just to talk about people. And I think it's probably one of the most important things, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was able to win in Red Bank. Because I tried to get every resident in Red Bank to understand who Michael Whalen is as a person. What is my character, what is my integrity, and what do I believe in. And I think to understand what a person is or what fabric they're made of is to understand where they come from. And I know I'm young, and I look even younger, but I want to share a couple of my experiences of how I got to this point. I was raised by my single mother. My parents split when I was about 5 years old. My father was a fireman in New York for 25 years, FDNY, and every uncle was either a police or a fireman in New York. And I have a twin sister who got the looks and the brains. So she just got her master's at Georgetown in math. So like Linda, has a math brain, which is such a valuable asset to have. I wish I did. And a little sister who's passionate about fashion, and she's very creative. And I learned very early on that nothing in life is given, it is earned. And earning something is very important. And that's what breeds your passion and your determination and the conviction to keep going when the odds are against you. People often look at me and they say, how are you in politics at 25? I started running in Red Bank at 23 years old, and they assume one of two things, that either I come from a very wealthy family, or my father or my family must come from politics or politicians. And neither of them are true. If you ask my parents, name two politicians, actually my parents, if you ask, they only know two politicians, whoever the president is and their son. Outside of that, they can't tell you a single political figure. I found this passion for public service on my own. I wanted to get involved. When I graduated college, I came to Red Bank and I wanted to get involved in the community. I didn't know much, but I knew that I wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself. And I thought, what better way than to run for office and try to spread new ideas? Because I think politics is actually pretty simple. It's not about party, it's about people. And what we are is we're decision makers. We are politicians, but we're decision makers, and I think in politics you have two decisions. Do what's popular or do what's right. And too often people do what's popular because that's what gets them reelected. But doing the right thing isn't always easy because it comes with criticism. And it comes with, whether it's in the media, being talked about being bashed publicly, or whatever it may be. Some people have the inability to make the right decision. They just care about doing what's popular. And that is something that I think that I've stood out in Red Bank, is because I think I've done a lot of unpopular things my first year in office in Red Bank. And then my second year, a lot of it came out that it was the right thing to do. Now, I think that is why Senator Beck asked me to run with her. And I took the meeting. I was called up, and Senator Beck said, Michael, we'd like to interview to possibly run for the State Assembly. And I said, oh, wow, that's very humbling and fortunate. And I sat down, I had the interview. I left, and I think I had a parking meeting with Councilman Zipprich, and I said, oh, that's pretty cool. Never in my wildest dreams I think I'd be running for the Assembly right now, but I'm humbled and fortunate enough to be standing up here. I'm humbled and fortunate enough to have been elected in Red Bank. When I was running, they gave me about a 5% chance of winning. They said I was too young, I was in the wrong party, and the guy I was running against couldn't be beat. And that's what motivated me to continue every day, knocking on so many doors, talking to so many families, and letting people know who Michael Whalen is as a person. And I also have a great running mate in Rob Chera. When I was running in Red Bank, I was running with Councilman Mark Taylor, and I never thought I'd be able to run with somebody else that almost had a brotherhood with. And I unfortunately have that with Rob, and it's been a long, for us it has been 6 months. I think I started knocking March 8th, so I think 8 months so far, and it's been a long road, and we're coming down to the final 15 days. And anything I can do to have you consider voting for me, I would appreciate that. My number is ready. My personal cell phone number is ready on the Red Bank Borough website. It's ready on my Councilman Michael Whalen page. It's all over. So text me, call me, email me. I'm here. I'm approachable. I'm accessible, and I hope to be your voice. So thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, and everyone get home safe and have a great night. Thank you.
All right, let's just thank God for those candidates that came before us, all representing their own values and their own interests. We're just going to take a moment, and I guess we're going to have everybody stand since we have a smaller crowd. How about if all the candidates stand? All of you have written it down a card, a question on your card. I hope you've done it. Oh, yeah. We'll do this fairly. Oh, come on, Mike.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah.
Not just that?
Oh, yeah. All right. See what happens when you stay?
I like it.
All right. The first, everyone have a question? All right. Ms. Burgett is going to just take the questions and she's going to read those for us, and we'll just start right in order. First question, second question, third question, fourth question, and then we'll start over again, okay? And we'll just do about 3 rounds. Is that good? That's fair enough? All right. All right, everybody? Okay. I tried that. I almost got kicked out of the church. Wouldn't go that route. They reminded me of my gift.
No, because if I go, I'm going to get them and ask them independently.
But thank God for being. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for being blessed.
One of those is from the
Okay, sure. Yeah, we'll just skip over.
yeah, something like that. You're okay. Sorry.
Oh, I'd love to. I just didn't want them to get mad because I don't think they.
No, that's actually completely random. All right, we all set, Miss? We all set, Miss Burgett?
I think so.
And we're only going to have about 2 rounds, but we just want to hear some random questions to each of the candidates. We'll start to the right, Councilman Zipwich. All right. All right, then we'll get out your way. I like this part.
I'm trying to find if there are any interested in him personally.
No, just anyone.
Just anyone?
Yep.
Okay, first question is, what is your commitment to abolish extreme gerrymandering?
Did you repeat the question?
Yeah,
Oh, you might go up there.
Yeah.
You want to state the mic.
So,
I know who can answer that question.
as it pertains to the Red Bank Borough Council?
Yes, I suppose so. That's the question. I guess they're asking, what is your position on extreme gerrymandering, and what do you intend to do to curtail it? Yes.
I continue to sign.
Rephrase.
I continue to sign the petitions, and and ask for a fair and balanced way of reorganizing our congressional districts. And on the local level, on the municipal level here in town, it's not something that falls under our jurisdiction, but as an activist and as a person who is concerned with the way that things have been handled on the national level, I continue to participate as a citizen.
Next.
Do you want us to all answer each question or just one?
No, just one question first.
One question per candidate? Okay.
Good question. We're asked that.
Anyone? Okay, let's try this one. Mike. What more can the state of New Jersey do to help Hurricane Sandy victims? There are horror stories on television about homeowners who are still trying to get their homes repaired.
But first, I just want to give a quick shout out to my fellow board members. Sue Viscombe is here, Red Bank Board of Education, Tom Lavetti is also here. Sandy, wow. What was that, 5 years ago. But we're still looking for families to receive the funding that they were promised. Wow. Again, another question that locally I have no control over as a councilman, but obviously it's, it's sad that, we have a government that's so inefficient that they can't get the funds to the people who really, really need them. Without going to anything partisan, the administration just hasn't done what they needed to do. And that's why elections are important, and that's why everyone needs to get out and vote for people who will actually represent them and do the right thing.
Next question. Pension in New Jersey has been under scrutiny. Other pension systems have gotten worse. New Jersey pension is ranked one of the worst in the nation. In what way would you help to alleviate this condition?
Thank you. Good question, whoever asked it. Yes, the pensions are underfunded. I do think there needs to be some type of pension reform. And I'm saying that from a family who is a beneficiary of pensions. Like I said, my father was a fireman in New York. My two uncles were NYPD. My grandfather was NYPD, and my great-grandfather was NYPD. My other grandfather was a teacher. So actually, I think almost my entire family has a pension. But as people are living longer, and it used to be where if you would retire, you might live 10, 15 years, and now people are, say you're getting in a, say you start a state job at 20, and you're retired at 45. Now that people are living till 90, it's just that those 25 years that you work, we're creating huge liability in the back end. So whether it is having new employees go on 401ks, you can start looking at the secretaries in the state and other boards and commissions that would have to possibly in the future go on 401ks. That's something the state has to look at, just as people are living longer, and it's just unaffordable. So 401ks I think is a great example, but yes, we are underfunded, and it's something that we have to take into consideration.
This is for all council candidates. In Red Bank, we've had a situation where a public official held multiple paid positions for years and walked away declaring bankruptcy, owing property taxes and still collecting a pension. How does this happen?
All right. Great question. It happens because it builds up over time. It happens because employees have been here for decades. And administrations of long ago did what they thought was best at the time, but what they did not stand the test of time. We've just heard a question about the pensions and the need for pension reform. I actually have a suggestion there, but that's not for now. But the answers of long ago don't stand the test of time because financial conditions change. Jobs, the needs of the borough change in terms of the positions that we have. And in fact, we're undergoing a reevaluation of that now. I think it's well known that Stanley Sickles is retiring. We are actively interviewing replacements for that position, and the replacement will not have 12 jobs, nor will the replacement be allowed to accrue vacation and sick time and get a payout because the borough stopped doing that for employees hired after 1994. So the borough was actually more proactive than the state in that regard. And the administration at that time had some foresight to say this is not sustainable. They're going to build up hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt, which in fact they did. But employees who were hired before 1994 are retiring now. And so that debt is going away, and we won't continue to build that. But that I think is the answer. And so we just have to think also when we restructure the top of the government, we have to think ahead. Is what we're doing going to be sustainable for the next couple of decades? Does it really make sense? And we need to be really thoughtful about it. And I do think, I'm taking the lead for setting up the interviews and bringing in the candidates, but every borough council member is involved in the interviews and in the decisioning, and I think we as a whole team have to be thoughtful about how we structure it.
Thank you. Red Bank is what they call our town. What are the incentives that you will do, that you would have to keep our millennials in Red Bank? Or how will you control taxes and also rentals that will accomplish the same?
How do you keep millennials in town? It's really interesting. I mean, since I am the parent of a millennial, but here at Red Bank we have done a number of projects over the course of the years. from rebuilding our athletic fields and retooling our parks. We have a huge opportunity to rebuild Marine Park while looking to the future. One of the additional components to keeping young people, along with our senior community in town, is affordable housing. And we have to look to the planning and the implementation of where we can build affordable housing and how each one of the developments that takes place in the borough would include units that both young people and senior citizens could afford to live in.
Thank you. What is your position on giving tax credits to businesses in New Jersey? What are the upsides and downsides? Which counties would most benefit? Do you feel would most benefit?
Wow. Not running for any state office, so I'm not familiar with the different counties. I'm familiar with Red Bank. I'm a firm supporter of businesses, especially downtown. We have a thriving downtown, and I want to see it continue to thrive. Tax credits, I'm not sure if that's the right way to go, but everything is on the table. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to keep our businesses in town, as long as it doesn't shift the burden of taxes onto our residents. So, thriving downtown and the thriving, the midtown and east side and west side, that's what I'm going to do if I'm on council.
Thank you. I know Senator Beck is not here, but maybe the Republican chair might be able to answer this. What is her position on equal pay for women?
I'm trying to remember what her exact position was.
She's supported equal pay for equal women on multiple occasions. She's passed, I'm trying to remember the bill that she did pass, supporting it, that she co-authored on it, but I can't really speak for Jennifer Beck because I don't know the specifics of it, but I'm sure Jennifer Beck is for equal pay for equal women. Not only is it's also a federal law, and it's been a federal law for many years.
Okay, I suppose it's this whoever's next. What are you going to do to reduce property taxes for senior citizens? Many older folks, 62 and older, are all existing on the state, I suppose. So I guess the question is, how can you best alleviate their tax burdens, senior citizens?
Thank you. I think, well, obviously senior citizens who have been paying taxes for their entire lives all of a sudden retire, they're on fixed incomes, and then they're getting paid the exact same year after year, but yet the cost of living is rising. Their property taxes are skyrocketing. So they're unable to do something they did the previous year because they haven't made another dollar yet. Their cost to stay where they live is increasing. The number one driver of property taxes is school funding, and in Red Bank is extremely underfunded. About, depending on where you live in New Jersey, it could be as much as little as 60 up to 70% of your entire property tax bill is going to your schools, and obviously senior citizens at that point aren't sending kids to schools. I'm in favor of having a freeze for seniors on their property taxes, and then giving them also extra deductions or whatever it would take to be able to allow the senior citizens to stay in their homes, especially be able to watch their grandchildren grow up and not have to leave the state. New Jersey is one of the worst net migrations of senior citizens and millennials. I'd actually love to answer the two prior questions because they were great questions as well. But yeah, can I just
hand it back out.
Yeah, but just two comments on the millennial question. I think you have to create an environment where you want millennials obviously to stay. And how do you create that environment or atmosphere? The demographic has shifted, that people want to live, work, eat, and play where they live. So you have to allow people to live in downtowns. And I think that's something that Zipperich, myself, and Linda have strived for on the Borough Council, is to create more of that downtown living, which is going to attract empty nesters, as well as give, as young professionals, and then also bring in empty nesters who can downsize from homes, and maybe their property taxes are skyrocketing. They want to then come and downsize and be able to live in a downtown and be able to walk to go get their groceries or go have lunch or go eat. But there's, like I said, freeze property taxes for seniors, address school funding, and business to the business tax question. Just, you shouldn't give specific tax credits to certain businesses. Just make it easier for businesses to operate in the state. You know, I don't think you should interfere with the private market and say, this business gets this deal and this business gets that deal. Just make every business easier to operate in New Jersey, and where we have the worst state to live in, to die in, to retire in, to have a business in. And this is stuff that obviously more comes from the state level, which I'm running for, but that we as a borough council have also taken into consideration. So.
What are your views on the centralization of school administrations, fire department chiefs, police chiefs, and so forth? We are all that are also salary heavy, with so many doing duplicate duties or duplicate efforts.
Thank you. Yeah, consolidation of shared services, generally speaking, saves money. Right, and we do that everywhere that we can in our current budget. We share services with Fairhaven, we share with Little Silver. You know, actually, we'd love to do more. We've been trying to do some stuff with the county, and unfortunately, that's not working out real well right now. But we're going to keep pushing it. Specific to schools, fire. See, we have volunteer fire, so I'm not sure how much we could actually save by doing that. And I would not want to explore paid fire because honestly, Red Bank, it would be very, very expensive for Red Bank if those guys did not do what they do. So we're very lucky to have them. Yeah. With respect to schools, I think there's probably places that it could be done. I haven't studied it, but I think there's places it could be done, and in places where it could be done, it would save money.
All right, let's give all of our candidates a round of applause. We are grateful for them. We are grateful for them coming out. We're right on time. We wanted to finish up at 8:30, and we're right on time. So we are grateful. Let's give a round of applause to Councilman Ed, Mark Ballard, to Mike Whalen, and Councilwoman Brenda. Yeah. All right. Hey, God bless you. May the peace of God be with you. Please talk with them if you have any individual questions before they leave. All right? Amen. Thank you.